Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking. So, this year we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of a pretty famous event, a famous UFO event in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay? And of course, you probably know what I'm talking about, the Phoenix Lights. Okay? Pretty amazing. Very amazing, actually. So, I lived in Arizona I lived in Tucson, Arizona during that time, and I did travel quite frequently up into the Phoenix area for various reasons. Some of it had to do with UFO sightings, etc., previous to the Phoenix Lights. So let me first tell you, I was living in New Mexico, in Arizona, in Tucson, like I say, as the Phoenix Lights happened. And the next morning, after the major event, I was walking out to my car to go to work. It was around 7 o'clock, and for some reason, and I don't know why, I looked up in the sky to the north, and there I saw about seven. Actually, I think actually it could have been more than seven of these white UFO-shaped objects in a formation, moving quite rapidly south from I guess towards the Phoenix, from the Phoenix area towards over my head, and then on towards Mexico. It was an incredible sight. They were white, and it wasn't that they were silver or anything like that. I'm not sure why they were white, but they were in the shape of a saucer, and they were moving rapidly, and it was very clear in my mind's eye what I was looking at. So it was pretty incredible. So, anyways, that was, and of course I was monitoring what was going on in Phoenix, and my intention was to go up there and talk to people because at the time, we started. I wasn't able to get up there and get into the mix because of some work commitments I had at that time. But anyways, my plan was to go up there, and I did go up there and talk to some people, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So another thing I wanted to mention is I was there. I lived in the Tucson area for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, and there was numerous times where I or one of my family members or friends of mine would see silver. Now, these were silver UFOs, shaped very much like UFOs, or the typical saucer shape, actually flying over and into the Catalina Mountains. In some cases, it looked like they were going to ram right into the mountain, and they would just go in. I don't know how it was done or whatever. It didn't seem like there was a door that opened up or anything, but they just went into the mountain. And I wasn't the only person, I guarantee you, that saw these. And these are in various points. When the Catalina Mountains, if you're from the Tucson area, they're just north of the city of Tucson. And I know a lot of people have seen them, and it's fairly commonplace to see them. And many people make the same comment. The UFOs go right into the Catalina Mountains or in some of the mountains, and you never see them again. You think they would crash, but they don't. So, anyways, that was a little bit of a experience I had. So, here was a period in which this big wave of happened. It hit the area of Phoenix and all around the area. It wasn't just in the city itself, and it was just a variety of different things. And that's what made it even more strange. It was in lights. There was people would see these huge crafts, and I didn't see them all the time, but they did notice that they would pass over the stars, and the sky would go black in certain areas it moved over. That was many times they would report that. And there was thousands of people that witnessed this, and it was over a period of several days. And not only that, there was orbs, and there was all kinds of crazy stuff that was going on around the city at this time. And it was really starting to freak people out completely. It was starting to freak people out so much over that period of time that the governor, I think his name was Symington, he did a press conference and tried to quell everything down the best he could. And then he came out with, after he kind of quelled everybody down, a few days later, he came up with this mock news conference. Now, I think he did this is to just shed some light into this, what was going on, okay? And so he actually admitted that he saw a huge craft. And he was quoted as saying, and let me just read this, "The craft I saw was enormous. It just felt otherworldly." Okay? But then at the same news conference, he had one of his assistants or one of his, I guess, one of his, advisors, I think he called them advisors, dress up in a big alien, with a big alien head, a big gray alien head, and walk around and look silly, right? So it was a weird thing. He was very serious at the beginning of the conference, and then he goes off in this crazy tangent, which he got criticized about by the people that were, thinking he was going for a serious angle here, but he kind of didn't. I'm not sure what all that was about. But years later, he was on, I want to say it was 60 Minutes. It was some kind of a news show. And he talked about the event itself. And he did have this, did see this huge craft go over his head. And he, like I say, he was really talking serious about it. And he was not laughing this time. So you got to wonder. You kind of knew after that he actually did know. He actually knew what was going on. So I went up there and I did talk to some people, some witnesses, and they all had, it was a variety of different things they saw. One of the things they did see was a lot of them did talk about these lights that were flashing on and then blinking out. And they were sort of there and etc. Now, there was an Air Force base very close there, and of course they denied that they had seen anything, and they denied that they had anything to do with it. I have no doubt in my mind that the blinking, when this formation light showed up, and when it blinked out, one or two of them in a row blinked out, I think those were flares. And I think they were flares from the military base, even though they were in denial. But I really believe they freaked out because they couldn't control the situation, and they thought, well, we got to do something. Only thing we can do is let's send our flares up, which they did. I mean, they have in the past. This is nothing new. People would see these same flares, maybe not in a formation shape, on a regular basis, because that was part of some of the training and stuff they were doing at this Air Force base. So anyways, a lot of people saw these lights blink out, etc. And I believe that the military threw those up there for disinformation, just to throw it out there in the mix. Now, I don't know why they wouldn't have said, oh, those are flares, etc., but they didn't. That is a little weird, but maybe that was part of their plan also. But there definitely was these flares. I don't care. I've looked at those pictures of the flares blinking out, those lights blinking out like flares. And it's and I talked to several experts and they agreed some of that stuff was flares, but all the other stuff, the crazy other stuff, wasn't. And those UFOs that I saw were definitely saucers or UFOs. Okay. So there was another in my drive up to Phoenix. You have to go past a little community called Casa Grande. It's kind of an artsy fartsy little community. A lot of artists live there, etc. And I knew somebody that was there, and he had said, both of them, as a man and a woman, said that they had seen something, and if I was coming up that way, to come on over and let's talk about it. Well, when I got there, they were kind of shook up, because this just happened, by the way, just a few days before I got there. They said that they were sitting outside and they looked up and there was this huge craft I mean, this was huge. They said it was like several, to them it looked like it was several football fields long. It was sort of like, they kind of described it, it reminded them sort of an aircraft carrier up in the sky, but bigger even, okay? Huge. And it was freaky because it just kind of sat there. Now, I don't have any pictures of it. I guess they just didn't take them. And this was back in what, 1997. I don't think cell phones were that. I think they had cell phones at that time. I can't quite remember, but I don't think it was widespread, and a lot of them probably didn't have cameras at that point. So it wasn't that you just pop out your cell phone and take a picture. You'd have to have a regular camera ready and available. But they probably could have, because the way they described it was there for several minutes, several minutes. And they were freaked out, and they said they no doubt they saw what they saw. It was a huge UFO, and they said mothership. I mean, they came right out and said mothership. No, I don't know why they said that. I guess that just was a term that we used to use, or we still probably do, if we saw a huge UFO and they see other UFOs that were flying out of it. Now, they didn't say anything about other UFOs flying out of it. They just said this huge ship kind of pretty much sat over the area, and there were other witnesses too of the same event. So, anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. So, so the flare thing we talked about, they were completely in denial. Again, there was all kinds of activity. A lot of people came out, and since it was a multi-day thing, people would actually, after the first day, they kept on coming out. Second, third, fourth days, I think it was like a 4-day deal. And after that, it just stopped, basically. Who knows, maybe they all flew to, at that point, maybe they all flew to Mexico, I don't know. So when I got up there, it was probably a week or two afterwards. And honestly, the strange thing, I'd been up to Phoenix many times, and I've talked to people about encounters that for UFOs and other beings and all kinds of things. I'd go up there and talk. But it seems like everybody was in like a funky fog or a haze, okay? And I couldn't explain it. Some people even said they were. They came out and said it. It was a little strange. I don't know if the whole mental stress of having aliens, a mini invasion, as I end up calling it, maybe that got to them. I don't really know, but I just wanted to mention it. It was really kind of strange. So I guess my conclusion is, I believe that the military did throw some flares up in the sky, maybe as a disinformation or distraction to everything else that was going on. There was a little bit of a cover. But I have to tell you, it was in a way, it was a very wonderful 2-week period, because it kind of lasted for 2 weeks. I think it was about 4 or 5 days in which most of the sightings happened. And then there was this kind of after funk, and then there was a lot of news conferences and stuff like that. So it seemed to be like a solid 2 weeks of stuff going on, pretty much excitement. And I guess the mini invasion worked. I mean, I guess it got everybody all stirred up and thinking about UFOs. If that was the reason, it worked beautifully. So anyways, so if you're from the Phoenix area and were there in 1997, around that period of time, and you have something to add or subtract or divide, please comment, or please send me a private email to dimensionalwalking@gmail.com. I love to hear what you have to say about your, and if I get enough of them, if I get enough comments, or if I get enough emails, maybe I'll make another video on some of those experiences of people that lived up in the area during that time. I think it would really be great. So other than that, that's about it. 25 years. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Anyways, as Roy Rogers would always say, happy trails until we meet again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.